Many socialists regard the Soviet Union as a role model. This should not be the case. The Soviet Union was the furthest possible thing from a serious socialist society. Hijacked by power-hungry opportunists, the Soviet Union cemented the class hierarchy that it was intended to destroy. Legitimized by the counter-revolutionary theory of the Vanguard Party, a small political elite seized power and set about brutally suppressing true socialists. Socialism describes worker ownership of and control over the means of production. In the Soviet Union, the workers did not own or control the means of production. In the Soviet Union, a small political elite owned and controlled the means of production. They slaughtered people en masse for even daring to question this arrangement. They were autocratic and authoritarian. There is nothing socialist about that. There is nothing socialist about governance by an authoritarian and autocratic political elite. There is nothing socialist about murdering any worker who dares to criticize the government. The Soviet Union reinvented the class divide it was intended to destroy. The class divide between those who work the means of production and those who own and control the means of production. The Soviet Union immediately reproduced this class divide as a small political elite seized power and held onto it with sheer brutality. The Soviet Union literally murdered and enslaved countless workers for daring to criticize the government. How exactly is the abject slavery of the Gulag system compatible with socialism? How is executing and enslaving any workers who dare to question the government a socialist policy? That is not socialist. That is disgusting, evil, and anti-socialist. The Soviet Union was a blood-soaked disgrace. Rapid industrialization does not change that. Defenders of the Soviet Union always argue that at least they industrialized very quickly. The purpose of socialism is not rapid industrialization, and numerous different economic systems can achieve rapid industrialization. Mass murder and brutal repression is not excusable as long as you rapidly industrialize. That is the kind of depraved reasoning that is needed to defend such a depraved regime. The Soviet Union was not socialist, far from it. The Soviet Union was the furthest possible thing from classless. The Soviet Union was a class society of the most brutal form. A class society where the dominant class had total control of the state. A class society where the state brutally suppressed its critics. The Soviet Union was an appalling disaster. A political elite terrorized and slaughtered workers for criticizing them. The Soviet Union reinvented class divides and made them even more brutal. Any leftist who defends the Soviet Union should not be trusted. They lack any serious commitment to socialism if they can admire such a state. We cannot allow these deranged anti-socialists to do any more damage to the socialist movement. They have already derailed countless opportunities and have made socialism look evil. We cannot allow that pursuit to continue. We must ensure that they have no place in future socialist movements and projects. Socialism has a future, but only if we distance it from the counter-revolutionary forces within.